All right. Uh, this hadn't made it into my campaign planner. I'm writing a book on how I do these things. But there's some stuff in the news that's really bothering me, and I know it's popular to shit on one side or the other, but I don't think any of the sides are fully to blame. To be quite frank, I think they're fully responsible for their actions, though, and that's kind of what we're talking about here. I'm not looking at this at the individual level. I've been a soldier in the Middle East, fighting a war that I did not agree with, but I was a soldier, and soldiers obey. And I'm not saying I'm not saying that all soldiers take the high road, because they don't, and I've seen that personally. But I'm not looking at it at that level. What I am trying to do is I'm going to try to put some influence on the things that cause it to continue. And there are things on both sides that are causing this to continue. And so that's kind of what I want to address. This isn't this isn't a shit session on either side. Because I think well, I can say a lot of things, and people have a tendency to use emotion instead of thought, and so I'll just leave that there. So what we're going to do here is, I actually wasn't going to engage in this. I'm getting ready to move, and most of my stuff is packed up, and so I've literally unpacked some of these things so that I can do what I feel I have a responsibility to do here, and that is to make change in accordance with my will. And my will is to try to tamp down these issues that are causing this to continue. And most of this will be done in front of the camera. There are only a couple of things, some wordings that I will not be recording, because that could have implications on me. This is a region that is known to have magicians and occultists of repute. So this isn't a risk-free activity for me. So there are things that I will at the end I will leave out. I'll show you what I'm doing and why, but I'm not going to say the targets or anything like that will not be given. Okay. But those are individual targets. Most of the rest of this is just about tamping down the reasons for the continuation, right? Now, the rest of it's a political and an emotional battle that I don't feel like I have a place in. So to start with, I did have a group leader step forward, and that is going to be Azazel. Azazel, I don't work with Azazel a lot at all. I usually work with him when I'm working for other people, actually. We don't really have a long-standing work relationship, but when other people need him but can't call him or hear him, then I have a tendency to intervene if I'm friends with him, but case by case. So anyways, Azazel has decided to be the lead for this, and with him acting as I don't know if lieutenants is the right word, but that's what I'm going to use, is Bareth and Elgos. So now I usually use Bareth for changes, making changes, turning things from one thing to another. I did contemplate using him and Zagan and Ha'agenti and asking them to cause some changes to happen, but a change can be I'm not sure what exactly is needed here, and as clear as it seems to some people, it really isn't at all when you understand more of the nuanced behaviors of what's going on and why some of these things are happening. And I'm not talking about New World Order horse shit or conspiracy nonsense or anything like that. I'm talking about the actual nuances of some of the ground stuff, and it's a lot more complicated than the overly emotional response that seems to prevail on both sides. So, of course, Elagos recently used Elagos to help help guide and direct and bring light to things. And he's going to be doing it for this campaign. I do have another set of cards over here that kind of I don't want to say self-identified, but they kind of self-grouped. They're like, no, I belong over here. And quite frankly, I'm not entirely sure why. So we're probably seeing some attributes and abilities that aren't obvious on the front. So an example of that is this. Now these entities here, Baphomet, Salos, Belial, and Lucifer, kind of wanted to be in a group off by themselves. They aren't necessarily working together, but they are going to work on this. Now that's separate from like a we have sort of two auxiliary groups going on over here too, and these are I'm not entirely sure what they're doing. I know they're going to give some direction to those groups, but they're also going to be working independently, and they just simply asked to be put in a group by themselves. And so I mean, Azazel has command here, so I mean, if he agrees, then I don't have a reason to disagree, right? Yeah. No, actually, I haven't asked him if he agrees, but they wouldn't be coming out like this if he didn't. So now down here, the dead are going to get involved with this, and some of this I know why. So we have Bune, Bifrons, and Murmur, and what these three will be doing is rallying the dead, helping to corral the dead. Unfortunately, there are too many dead, and also rallying them to help work on some of the decisions that are being made by people who are not fanatics, because the fanatics will not listen on either side. The fanatics will not listen, and that's their problem. But there are a lot of people that aren't fanatics, and so they're going to kind of work in that way, because there's no reason to try to punish some people because they believe differently than you, especially in something like this. It's really unclear. I mean, murky is not even accurate there. It's just a mess. Now we do have some of the obvious ones here, like Malphas and Halphas used quite frequently, and that's usually for moving and troops, defenses, and ways of waging war. Here we're actually going to do the opposite. We're going to excuse me, and the Sabnok I usually use for defenses and sometimes to go after troops, but here we're going to try to stop the flow, if you will, on the ground level, not necessarily at the political level, because those people can say whatever they want without consequence. But at the ground level is what we're thinking here. And so here we will try to muddy up the ability for people to wage war. I would also ask them that they wouldn't, that wouldn't also jam up the ability to get aid to those who need it. So it's actually pretty tricky. And you'd think there'd be 100 spirits on here for that, but I think fewer is probably better than more, I think, in this case. At least with regards to if they're leading these type of efforts, and other spirits might be implementing them in addition to themselves. So we have that. I was kind of surprised by Decorabia here. I don't often work with Decorabia at all. In fact, Lessons of the Deck is pretty much the only time I've really worked with Decorabia. So I was a little confused and concerned. Well, concerned maybe not the right word, but I was just like, I was concerned about what am I missing, what am I not thinking of here. And then I'm looking at some of these others that because originally I pulled these in order from Osea over to Decorabia. So Osea was first. And what these entities are going to be doing, Osea, Balaam, Paimon, Barbados, King Paimon, Barbados, and Batan, Decorabia, they are going to be shining light and illuminating the actual problems and not this propaganda horse shit that's really got everything out of control, every which way you turn. So there's no sign that's clean here, right? There isn't, especially if you know the history of some of the ins and outs of these things, and not just some knee-jerk emotional response going on now. None of this is clear, and so what this group is going to be working on are, in their own ways, are going to be working to bring some of these illusions and half-truths into more light, right? To reveal what they're kind of bullshitting you on, basically, because there's a lot of bullshit going on. Unfortunately, there's a lot of, some of it's true, but a lot of it isn't. So we have one of the auxiliary groups here, and I don't know why these four kind of want to group together. Well, you know, we've got Dantalion, Lucifuge, Rolfakale, Andrealphus, and Gushin. I'm really not sure. I'm not sure what's going on here. I mean, I could guess like maybe Lucifuge is going to work on the gumming up the ways in which some illicit transactions are happening in some ways, but not others, because we want the aid to go in, but we don't necessarily want the weapons. So I'm really not sure what these four are doing, but I'll take it, right? There are some things that do come to mind, like when Andrealphus is here. Usually there's a presentation involved like that, right? So I that's kind of what came to mind when I saw Andrealphus. There's a presentation that either has to be done or it has to be shown to be false, right? And we want some of that too. I'm really not sure necessarily with Gushin. I mean, a lot of these could be relationship based, but I'm not convinced. I'm not feeling that that's the reason that they're here. And that gets a little bit muddier with the next group of the auxiliaries. When you have Arias, Simiez, and Zipar and Ami. So here again, you find relationships or similar. Here you find more of removing illusions, but the rest are kind of bringing things to light, revealing things in some way. I don't know why they want to group together, but they did. So I did. I mean, I don't necessarily have to know what they're going to do and why, you know, as long as they know the overall goal and they know that Azazel is leading this and he's agreed with kind of what I want, then I kind of have to trust that those entities are going to act in that interest, right? I mean, there is a trust, that we have to have a basic trust in those we ask to do things for us, especially if they've proven true to it in the past. This next group though is going to be a bit obvious, and this is the part where I'll leave some of the details out. But you know, Glacia Levelas, Vine, Vepar, Focalor. Forneus threw me for a loop here, but he has a part to play in this. I don't know what though. I can guess. But Andras and Mirage. Now, I really, if you follow me for a while, you know that I don't have a good relationship with Mirage, but he likes doing what he does, and so he kind of went on this. And these are actually for individuals, but not necessarily individuals on a specific side, we'll say. So we know what they're going to be all about, but I do know some of the individuals. Potentially, I don't know all. Some are names we know, some are just faces I see. I don't know their names. Doesn't matter to me. Because my end goal is ceasing the conflict for the right. I don't say the right reasons because that sounds holy and justified, and I think too much is real fucked up for it to be holy and justified. So that's what we got for the initial lineup here. That's probably where I'll cut this first one, and then I'll start making preparations and working the deals, so that way there's shorter videos, because it's not going to be an exciting thing here, right? Okay.